Today we're taking a look at another frame. This one's called the Realacc Avenger 215. Now this frame has a very low profile body to it. It's very tight. And the build level on this is probably going to be up near the expert level, unless you're just like, you know, hard soldering. But a lot of the design ideas came from this Kinetic Aerial Vector frame. The low profile, the way the camera is set up here, but they're not exact copies, so I'm kind of glad to see that. I mean, I hate it when these companies exact copy the stuff, but you know, they kind of stole a lot of the main ideas from this frame from the Vector. But anyway, comes in the Realacc box like this, pretty generic, except for the unique sticker they put on here. So let's get the stuff out of the box and we'll start taking a look at it. So here are all the pieces laid out. The four arms are actually all identical, which is going to be nice if you ever have to replace them, if you can find replacement arms. Because I don't think there's actually replacement arms for this yet, so you have to buy another frame. But it does come with a Modtech power distribution board with a 12 volt and 5 volt output. So I would assume because they gave you that, they're expecting that you're going to put the ESCs out on the arms instead of using a 4-in-1 ESC. Also, the first time I've seen this, it came with a file so you could file down the edges of your carbon fiber. And that would be good just to keep for all of these Realacc frames. It has the camera mounts here, the piece that goes up on top of the camera, a couple sets of nylon spacers and your metal spacers for the frame, and a bunch of screws. So here are the arms just sitting on the bottom plate, and you can see how in the middle here they all come together and they're all touching pretty tightly in here. Well, they don't look very tight right now, it's because I don't have the screws in. But I wanted to show you this because eventually when I put the other plate on, they're all going to disappear. But they all come in here to the middle, so they're all touching, so they draw a lot of strength off each other along with the screws that are actually holding them into the main plates. Here I have the bottom plates and the arms together. Now each arm is being held in by two screws. There's the one that comes through here into a lock nut, and a second one that comes up into this nylon spacer. Now I really don't typically like that idea real well. However, like I was saying before, the four arms come in here and they meet right there in the middle. You can see how they're all touching just perfectly. And so the nice thing about that is that these arms don't get barely any wobble back and forth. If you tighten these up, tighten these lock nuts up tight enough, they should get zero wobble in them, which is going to be real nice. Also on here it has two 30.5 by 30.5 stackables, well, I guess holes drilled for two different flight boards. So you get your flight board sitting here, and you get your 4-in-1 ESC sitting back here, or maybe your VTX if it's the 30.5 by 30.5 hole spacing. But you can have two of them, and the reason for that, to having two, is because these are the spacers, and so these are 15 millimeters tall, so there's not a lot of room on top of this up above your plates for any kind of double stacking or anything. So you only get a single stack on both of these settings. So yeah, it's going to be a little tight. Alright, so the next thing to do once this is together is to get your camera hood like this put together, and then you're going to have a hard time forcing it through this piece and then resting down here in the bottom. But I'm going to try to get that done and I'll show what it looks like. So you don't really want to force it. You just want to put this side in here first, put the spacer on there, and then put the other side into place, and then put this inside here too. And this kind of pushes between the two pieces of carbon fiber there on the sides. And on the bottom, these side plates, they kind of push through a little bit right here to give a little bit of grip, and then you have a spacer that goes inside here to help hold it all apart and hold it all in place. And then you're going to be using a full-size run cam or an HS1177 style camera that fits in there. If you want to use a micro, you're going to have to get some 3D printable adapters to run inside there, and then it should fit. So here's the Avenger fully assembled. Up here in the front for the camera, it has the two spacers that go across the top and the bottom, and then it kind of holds on to the top plate and the middle plate a little bit with the way that it's cut. Now the nice thing about that is your camera is going to be fully enclosed inside there to help protect it during crashes. I don't think the lens even sticks out past this, so it doesn't look like it would. Anyway, this also has the battery strap that came with it, and if I was going to be racing this or flying this freestyle, I'll probably go ahead and put a second battery strap on. It has the holes already cut for it, so it should be just fine. You probably have to put a rubber pad in here, which you could use the rubber pad that comes in here, or what I would probably do is just use these foam pieces and put a couple of those up on top. And that's what I've been using on my other quads, and it's been working fine. This is just such a unique frame in the fact that these are so thin. Anyway, let's get some measurements off of this, and then we'll weigh it and get some final thoughts. The arms are 4 millimeters thick. The arms are about 13 millimeters wide. Spacers inside are about 15 millimeters. The top body up here is about 35 millimeters wide, not where the battery straps are, but just where the body is. The camera mount in the front has about 28 millimeters of space. The top plate is 2 millimeters. The bottom plate is also 2 millimeters. The very bottom plate is 2 millimeters. The center motor to the other center motor is about 215. Front to back's about 135. Side to side is 165. Fully assembled without the power distribution board, this thing comes in about 114.6. You can probably drop off a few grams for the battery strap. The 5-inch props on the back should spin just fine, so as long as the battery's up above the main plate or inside the battery straps, it shouldn't be in the way of the props hitting it. Up in the front, the 5-inch props also clear the body just fine, so you shouldn't have any problem spinning 5-inch props on this. Now, could you spin 6-inch? No, because from front to back you're going to start having your props hit each other, and also you probably start having some impacts with the battery up on top of the frame because the props reaching over top of the frame. So this is the Avenger 215. It has a lot of the good ideas that the Kinetic Aerial group came up with on their Vector frame. Like I said, it doesn't have a few things that the other one does. It has a little bit better, a little bit different mounting plate back here in the back on the Vector. That makes it easier for mounting a VTX antenna. This one here, they have the zip tie holders. If you want to run your zip ties in there, maybe try to figure out some way to run it 90 degrees up, but there's not many people doing that. Also, on this one, you could run the VTX on the bottom. It could go underneath your 4-in-1 ESC, and then you could zip tie it down to the bottom and have your antenna come out the bottom, which isn't necessarily a bad idea. It could work. Now, the one thing I would like to see on this is I'd like to see a second battery strap come with this thing. They should have put another one in. They got 2 battery strap holders. Why would they not give it 2 battery straps? I don't know. Overall, though, I think this is a pretty cool frame. It's just going to be a little bit harder to build because you can't stack up stuff inside there. You're going to have to move some of it back here to the back. Maybe you could fit your VTX in up underneath, up here in the front, a little bit closer if you could. But anyway, that's why I say it's kind of a tough build, and it's probably more than a lot of beginners would want to do for their first build. Anyway, this is the Avenger 215. If you have any questions about this, leave them in the comments. I'll try to answer them as best I can. I'll have some links down in the description and also some links to the original Kinetic Aerial Vector frame if you're interested in that. If you do have any questions, leave them down in the comments and I'll try to help you out as best I can. And as always, thanks for watching.